So, today, first of all, Shyam, thank you so much. I love to have you here. Shyam is a colleague from PepsiCo. You're going to introduce yourself, but I want to introduce the session. The session is all about matching your data strategy with your business strategy. So we will be a little bit data-centric or data-heavy. So Shyam, please introduce yourself, and then I have a question for all of you.
First of all, I'd say this is a deep couch. So if I keep like slouching, pardon me. Shyam Venugopal, part of PepsiCo, part of our global team, and my team's responsibility is building the next gen sort of media commercial capabilities, and our remit is all markets, all brands globally. I live in Dallas. I could call myself an honorary Texan by now. Like I've lived there for 20 odd years, as long as I've lived anywhere. Married 17 years. We have a 3-year-old human girl with 2 legs, and 11-year-old boy with a tail and 4 legs. So that's me.
They're adorable, and a little dog.
Little dog, his name is 006.
Don't forget the dog. Okay. First question for all of you, and of course for Shyam, is about what do you think? What's the brand? Remind yourself a brand. Think about a brand that does a bad job with you on data, so on first-party data. So brands that stalk you with the wrong content, or a brand that does a good job because you gave your first-party data to this brand. Think about it. I have one. Shyam, you have one?
So there are many. I won't name names, but hands up in the audience, anyone who has gotten an email which says, "Dear first name, last name." I hate that. I think, and partly I hate that because I've actually given my name, and if you still call me dear first name, last name, I'll say, you're doing a terrible job at simple email marketing. I also sometimes get peeved when people reduce me down to basic set of attributes. Like, so I would say, hey, just because I'm a person in his mid-40s, I won't say exactly what my age is, but mid-40s, doesn't necessarily mean I probably want a minivan because I have 5 kids. So people who do it right, I think, I'll give you sort of 2 examples. I sometimes get emails on Happy Thanksgiving from my car dealership, and I would say, I mean, you and I are that close not to have a Happy Thanksgiving conversation, but a great thing I got was from my local dry cleaners. I got like a Happy Thanksgiving. They called me out by my name, and they said, it's likely you have visitors in your home this week, so here is 25% off on your next dry cleaning because you're... So for me, it's a local establishment, but they took the time to really contextualize what that experience was. And companies that do it right have customers for life. And now I'm a customer for life with that dry cleaning company. Paragon Cleaners, if you hear this, like, go for it. You guys do an amazing job.
Oh, okay, they got you. So anybody? Well, I mean, it's a good thought, correct? It's really bringing your personal experience and improving your data strategy of your brand, I think, is the first step. I have one. I want to meet the CMO of this brand. I'm over 55, but of course, I have my retirement plan because I work in companies and I'm vegetarian. And I travel luxury. Don't talk to me about glamping or camping. Not for me. This brand constantly target me with 50% discount on Denny's, which is a fast food burger, and Outback Steakhouse, which is not even in New York, or 50% discount at Best Western, which is clearly not my chain. So, of course, you probably have imagined the brand. I cannot say because maybe somebody is here. Is AARP, which is really... so, again, they don't have my first-party data. They just assume by demographic that I like 50% discount on best wear. Okay, so let's talk about something that you really pioneer at PepsiCo, which is people-based marketing. So not brand-based marketing, but people-based marketing. Tell us about people-based marketing.
All right. To talk about people-based marketing, I'm going to talk about one of the humans that is near and dear to me. That's my 3-year-old, Zoya. So for her, and I'm pretty sure that's true of every Gen Alpha, and maybe even Gen Z that is living today, her entire world revolves around this notion of digital. And again, don't question my parenting abilities. She spends some time on YouTube. And for her, every life experience worth talking about should be on YouTube. So every time we talk about stories from our childhood, our first question is our childhood. Is it on YouTube? And when we say it's not on YouTube, she's super disappointed. Like,
Thank you for the advertising, Shyam.
But for me, I think this is what is like for many of us, not just my daughter Zoya. Digital is no longer a thing. It's how we live our lives. Like it's instantaneous, it's universal, it's omnipresent, it's connected. And in an environment like that, for any brands on the consumer side of things, any brand, for you to stand out, you have to deliver a valuable personal experience every single time you interact with those people, with those humans. And for me, that is what people-based marketing is all about. How do you shift the narrative from thinking about our valuable consumers as esoteric, identityless, demographic entities to really talking about people? And if I don't think about them as humans, it's going to be really, really hard for me, for any brand out there, to deliver a valuable experience. And if you cannot deliver a valuable experience, you become an advertisement, you don't become a consumer experience. And so for me, that is people-based marketing.
That's great. And a little bit of a more difficult question for you. It's easy for you to start, okay? You come from a data analytics background. I'm working cloud. I always say start with the first-party data, migrate your data on a cloud, use an ML tools to bring predictive analytics. Seems easy. But what would be your starting point if you have to recommend the audience? Also cheap, so think about budget. What could it be?
So first things first, I just feel odd that I'm looking at this side of the room, just how my chair is shaped. I'll just turn around and address the audience this time on this side of the room. So we talked about this notion of personal valuable exchange every single time. So personalization for me, meaningful, relevant, personalization is key for brands to win in the future. And as all of us know, I think you at least have heard about this in news articles, cookies are going away. We don't really have a clue of where this third-party data is coming from. So all this means if we fast forward 10, 15 years, the notion of first-party data to have real responsible interactions is going to become key. So first guidance for you is how do I start collecting that first-party information, right? So now collecting first-party information is a solvable problem, but it's a problem that you step through. First things first, ensure you have a right strategy around collecting that first-party data. Are you offering some experiences to your end consumers in exchange for which they are willing to share their information with you? I think that for me is the first and foremost. What is that value exchange with your consumers? Because if you don't have it, you're just collecting data for data's behalf, right? So first, have a clear opportunity around that. And might be for all your brands, it might be for a few of your brands, but start with brands that can offer a real value exchange. Number two is have the right technology ecosystem to collect this information. So whether that is, sorry to throw these acronyms out of you, but you might have heard of things like CDPs or consumer data platforms. But these are technology platforms that enable advertisers, brands, marketers out there to collect this first-party data and have the right governance around it. And the third stage, I would say, is, again, I'm a big believer in data for data collection's sake is fairly useless, and it's also time-consuming, super disruptive. Start thinking about what business problems, what solutions are you trying to develop for these consumers, which for me means you're taking this a bit broader than just the data collection. How do you build the right intelligence around it? How do you build the right analytics? How do you do the right diagnosis? Within PepsiCo, we have this initiative which we call as Consumer DNA, which is how do you build a full 360 around your consumers so we can really serve them with better experiences. So those are 2 or 3 of the steps. And all of us are in the journey of building businesses, building brands. So also make sure that you have the right business case around going through this journey, right? So those would be some things I would say is start having the right value exchange, start having the right technology to collect the data, start developing either leveraging the technology or on your own analytics around this data so you can make more sense out of all this information that you have, and then be clear about what brand and business problems are you trying to solve with all this information.
Simple enough, eh? I mean, that's it's actually very simple today. You know, I think, I don't know what's your thought, but I think 12 months ago, even 12 months ago, would have been more complicated. And with technology partners that came together, not just working in isolation, collecting, utilizing, visualizing data is much easier. So definitely something that you leverage very well. Okay, making the same question a little bit more specific. You talk about privacy. You talk about, okay, first-party data. I have many clients and leaders in marketing that ask me, how do you reconciliate collecting, utilizing first-party data with data privacy?
I would say for the first time in a long time, especially with cookies going away, I'm a big believer in good riddance to cookies because it actually puts the onus on brands. It puts the onus on brands to ensure that you're delivering the right experience to end consumers. So as an end consumer, I'm no longer worried about how this data is getting used because you're being really prescriptive about how the data is going to be used. So for me, privacy is the push on privacy laws is one of the best things that have happened in a really long time because it again puts the onus, responsibility on brands to ensure that data is getting collected the right way, data is getting used the right way, and the right set of experiences, benefits are getting delivered to the end consumer. So for me, it's not in conflict, it's completely as an enabler.
Yeah, it's completely, and again, you know, I think leveraging partners, leveraging vendor, leveraging tech partners, again, migrating on a cloud that is for sure, you know, the benefit of a cloud is privacy, centricity, and security, transit and rest. So you don't have to do it, but you can completely leverage, again, the global infrastructure of tech partner. I think that's something that PepsiCo, you champion extremely well. Okay, so next question, before the change management question, is more about, we talk about tech stack a bit, but give us a little bit more details without disclosing any proprietary information of PepsiCo about, again, 1, 2, 3 tech stack on the journey on first-party data.
Got it. So I'll abstract our tech stack as data, diagnosis, determination, and delivery. So you can sort of say there's a technology stack around data, so that's where all the CDP comes in. There is a diagnose bit, which is a combination of CDP plus any sort of cloud infrastructure that you're building around this. Determination is sort of your analytical data sciences tech stack. Please don't push me a lot on the exact technology because like Giusy, I think at some point I will have to make a phone a friend, right? So we can get in details. And the last thing is on delivery side of things, which is, for lack of a better word, I think this is all your DSPs, SSPs. What is the ad delivery ecosystem? Okay. A big component of the delivery ecosystem could also be, I call them sort of lifetime value apps. We call them loyalty platforms. How are you building an ecosystem to deliver experiences to consumers beyond a traditional advertising ecosystem? But you can sort of simplify things down to data, diagnose, determine, and deliver. I think that's my 4Ds. I'm pretty sure we can come up with a different acronym for that, but that's the way I would sort of simplify the tech stack.
That's exactly, yes. And we're talking at the coffee break about also putting together all the media platform data across retail, across consumer media in one platform, so you can analyze, ROI, ROS, whatever you want to call it, in one place, and using an INML to get on the predictive analytic. I think that's something, again, I admire you because you do it very well, and I think a lot of companies should learn from you.
No, this sounds a lot like PepsiCo is doing it on its own. It is all with partnerships, and I see many of the partners that we work with in the audience. This is, for me, the future of this is about responsible partnerships, responsible data sharing, responsible co-creation of ideas, because all of us want to serve our end consumers better, right? So partnerships is key in this journey. We have been blessed with a set of partners who we have been working with early on in this journey, and so partnerships are key. Yeah, that's one big message I want to take away from this is, so I'm a big Tolkien fan, and so I would always say, when you're taking on an adventurous journey, make sure you have your compadres, your sort of coalition leveling with you. So figure out your partners. Like your partners are super key in this long, audacious journey that you want to take on.
That's great. So before we give it to the audience for question, I have the most difficult question, which is change management. Because again, tech, easy, we can do it. But the change management stakeholder is really something tech partners cannot do it. Neither Google or Meta or Lyrics, whenever is here in the room, you really have to be good at that. And there is a lot of change management to do it. So tell us about how you manage this massive change in such a big company.
So I think the thing in large multinational companies is, first things first, when you start the journey, be mindful of markets, brands, even within our own ecosystem that have started the journey, right? So figure out where the bits and pieces of this journey have started, but then connect it back to a long-term roadmap so you can capitalize on the things that have been built without having to rebuild things. That's step number one. If you're a smaller company, similar things could happen. I'm pretty sure there is someone somewhere who is doing some really good work in your own companies in this construct. Number two is think about all this through the lens of an enterprise versus thinking about through the lens of a marketing and IT, a data analytics thing, right? So if we individually all have conversations around first-party data through very sort of siloed perspectives, again, it would be a terrible miscalculation and a failure. You have to bring this all together and say, just like sustainability, right? Why should first party be an enterprise imperative versus a marketing objective? So that's, again, one of the learnings I have gone through. And number three is just like building a brand where you have a short-term and a long-term business idea, translate everything to the lens of a business case because you're having conversations with general managers, you're having conversations with CEOs of markets. We have to essentially bring them along the journey of why this is the right thing for our brands and business through the lens of a business case. And when you think about all these journeys in long constructs, you see your starting point and you see your shiny end point. But the reality is everywhere in between, you're iterating and learning. And then so I've learned through my own mistakes, and the big mistakes I've learned through is simplifying these conversations down to data technology conversations, because these are not data technology conversations. And just like any big change initiative, these are people conversations. So you have to ultimately bring this down to why this makes sense for PepsiCo, why this makes sense for our consumers. Because end of the day, everything is a people journey. So.
As a people journey, yeah. And another thing that I know you do is turn into your partner to build a joint business plan. And then they'll bring you other partners instead of trying to figure it out
Completely.
yourself.
100%.
Overwhelming.
100%. I'd like to say I'm a smart guy, but I'm not really that smart. It's the partners that make us collectively smarter.
Oh, yeah, it's a great partnership. It's so fantastic. Well, we turn it to question. So any question for Shyam in the audience or in the coffee area on data analytics?
Please don't make me phone a friend.
No, not at all, Shyam. I have to ask you this question. Given that you work with so many different partners, right, what values do you value the most, I guess, in a partner when you're choosing one?
Humility. I think none of us have this fully figured out. I think one of the things I say is the more I learn, the more I realize, the less I know things. So I would say being able to work with us for the longer term without really selling, here is the best solution for you to start with, right? Knowing fully well that things are going to change. So I would say that humility is one aspect. Second one is ability to co-create things. And so we want to be in the kitchen with you, cooking these things. So we are looking for partners who are willing to co-create things with us. Number three is problem solving. Like I think, can we collectively solve this problem? And the last thing goes without saying, we are a global company, so we're also looking for partners. It might not be in every single market, but you have global scale, at least across our big markets. So Niva, I think that's what I would say are the...
That wasn't difficult, was it? That wasn't difficult, was it?
No. I know you can ask tough questions, but yeah, thank you for going easy on me.
Yep, for sure.
And I know Niva really well. She taught me all the things on analytics way back, much earlier in our career. So Niva, I think I'll also say, hey, all the things I know in analytics is thanks to you. So.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe I will ask a little bit easier question.
Yeah.
So how you are making sure all of the subsidiaries are aligned in this big change, like driving the change at the global level and making sure that everybody is on board?
Great question. So the way our strategy has played out is back to my original point. When we started the journey, we already found there are markets that have started bits and pieces of the journey. What we tried to create was a modular construct to our strategy where we can leverage either modules, best practices that markets have developed. So we ultimately develop a global strategy that is connected back to what was already happening locally. And for new markets that were next to get on this journey, what they benefited was all the local knowledge that got developed in the other markets. So the biggest mistake we could have made is saying, hey, here is a global construct and just try to push it out. I don't know, but I think many companies that wouldn't necessarily work, and ours is no different. So connecting this back to good things that got done locally, pull it up. So we call this as we have our version of a global model. Like you look at local things that have got developed, you pull it up globally, you then bring it back locally, see what else can you pull it up. Like, so we have an iterative system that gets stood up. My team is actually locally embedded in every single market to ensure that.
Thank you.
Any more questions? 3, 2, 1. Oh, here it is. Mike there, thank you.
Hi, this is going back to what you were talking about of creating a value-based exchange with consumers to collect that first-party data. As a CPG company where your relationship with customers tend to be very physical, they go to a store, they buy a beverage, they drink that beverage, how do you create an ongoing digital relationship with the consumer in an industry that's very tangible and lives in the retail space?
Great question. So what we are figuring out is across this journey, what other experiences can we give access to our consumers? It could be hard to find experiences. It could be access to concerts. It could be access to global sports talent that we have. Like thinking about how can we deliver them experiences beyond the physical set of products that we are partnering with our retailers on. So number one is partnering with our retailers. I mean, is there ways in which we can leverage the data leverage the data they have to bring, could be innovation to the marketplace. It could be offers. So it's a combination of things. The idea behind this is not to develop relationships that are completely devoid of our retail partners. We want to develop all these relationships with our retail partners at the table with us.
That's great. Well, I think we are in a wrap, but thank you so much. Thank you, Shyam. It was a pleasure to interview
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.